This is the Lulich Corner. I'm Jordan Lulich, and today I get to sit down with Matt Fulcher and talk about everything video related, as well as estate planning and things, maybe some things that we don't necessarily think about as business owners and succession planning. I'm really excited for today's conversation, but before we dive in, Matt, thanks so much for joining. And I'd love for you just to introduce yourself because you do video, but I know you also have got several ventures going on. So we'd love to hear a little bit about yourself.
So for anyone that doesn't know, my name is Matt Fulcher. I own Sunrise Multimedia Productions here in Vero Beach, Florida. We're a story-driven video production company that specializes in weddings, promotional videos, and also real estate.
Tell us a little bit about your videography business. Is that what you say? I know you touched on a few different aspects of what your video business does, but what's like your true specialty or your true niche that the business focuses on?
So I started Sunrise Multimedia like 8 years ago. Growing up in Vero Beach, I saw that a lot of local businesses were struggling with their marketing. And a lot of businesses, unfortunately, through the years, I've seen just they close because they don't have money allocated towards advertising or marketing. And so I started Sunrise Multimedia with the goal to help kind of better the local business environment in my area by producing engaging marketing content that was cost effective and also high value.
As a law firm, I'm always looking at other law firm ads.
Sure.
And I feel like when a law firm puts on a video, most law firms are doing the same thing. And it's probably true for other businesses.
Absolutely.
When people do videos, when businesses do videos, they're putting a similar video. And then what the result is and what the outcome is, you're on Facebook, you're on YouTube, you see ads pop up, and you've got all these different videos that are very similar.
Yeah.
So how do you stand out in a market that's become very competitive for videos?
That's a great question.
To people watching.
Yeah, that's a great question. I've noticed a lot in video production when people see an idea that they like, they just copy it. Sometimes they copy it word for word. And so one of the best ways to stand out in video production is to stay on top of trends. So when a new trend comes out, be the person that's like either following that immediately or be a trendsetter. And by being a trendsetter, you're kind of really paving your own path and essentially creating something that other people may have never seen before. So ideally, if you can do that, you'll set yourself apart. And that's the biggest thing in video production.
That's a great piece of advice. And so that might be the answer to this next question. But, as a business owner and in growing your video company, was there an aha moment that you had that really just changed the trajectory of the growth and the success of your video company?
Yeah, honestly, when it comes to an aha moment, it's really just, it's a very simple thing. But when running my company towards the beginning, I noticed that a lot of the clients that I was working with, they complimented me on customer service. And I remember when I was in college, I took a class called customer service. And it was one of those classes that really changed my perspective on being an entrepreneur, being a business owner. And so during the cycle of the 8 years of working at Sunrise Multimedia, I've developed a system of understanding my customers and what they need and also having great communication. So the aha moment for me is, wow, none of my competitors are offering this level of service, this level of attention. You do it with your own law firm. I see it with the quality and service and communication. And it's really not that hard. If you answer the phone, you're responsive to your clients, and you offer a good service and you actually care about them. You don't look at them as just, money. You actually care about your community. You'll stand out. And unfortunately, there's a lot of businesses that just don't do that. So for me, that was my aha moment.
Really focusing, and it's an experience, whether they're engaging with us as a law firm or they're engaging with you, as a video company. It's an experience that they're getting by going through it. So,
Absolutely.
So you really tapping into that experience and really fine tuning that process seems like that was like your aha moment.
It was.
Yeah. Over the 8 years, has there been a challenge that's specific to you, that maybe an ongoing challenge or something that you've had to navigate? I think, and I look now versus 8 years ago, I think about how much technology has come into the game, so perhaps that might be a challenge for you, or maybe it's not. So
sure,
maybe it might not be that one, but is there a specific challenge that you've had to navigate over the last 8 years?
So I have a marketing background. I love marketing. Marketing is something that changes a lot over time. I teach at the college part-time, and the textbooks are dated. If they're over 4 years old or 3 years old or 2 years old, the knowledge is outdated. So one of the biggest challenges when you're an entrepreneur, especially working in a video production world, is you have to stay up to date with not only technology, but if you're providing a service like me where you're trying to help clients market their services through video production, you have to come up with great ways to engage people. And as time has progressed, people's attention spans have changed. The way that they receive information has changed. And so you have to be really up to date with, what's working and,
Yeah.
how people receive information.
Because you have what, 5 seconds?
You have
Otherwise they're
not
gonna
even.
scroll, right?
Yeah. And you have to do a pattern interrupt. You have to engage with them in a
Yeah.
way that's going to drive engagement.
That's tough. And that's probably just going to get worse. And it's probably not
Yeah,
going to get
it's
better.
but you have to understand you have different audiences. You have kids that are on certain platforms that are reviewing content vertically. You have older people that are on Facebook and some of these more horizontal platforms, and every audience is different. So understanding that is part of the game.
I know you're a client of ours. You did your estate plan with us. And so before working with us as a business owner, what did you think about the future for your company? Did you give any thought into succession planning or asset protection or, limit your liability?
Sure.
Were those things that crossed your mind? Because as business owners, we get caught up so in the day to day and
Absolutely.
making sure we're staying on top of trends and making sure that we're implementing the newest technology. But did you ever have those thoughts and considerations before you started working with us about that bigger picture, that more longer term picture?
Sure. I'm a big legacy guy. I'm a huge legacy guy. I did think about it. I didn't necessarily know at the beginning, like what steps I needed to take to kind of secure that idea. Because I think a lot of people like me who are entrepreneurs, we think about legacy, but we don't really know how to enact it. Through the years, I've heard about your services, the attorney's office, and I said, you know what, like, let me check that out. And so that's how I discovered, some of the services like the trust and the will.
And so how did the idea of securing, and protecting your assets and the legacy that you've built through a will or trust, how did that come into your radar? Like, when did you
Sure.
realize that is something you need to do and is important for you?
Yeah, so I do a lot of work. The work that we do, sometimes we're photographing these $15 million houses or even more. We work with a lot of different clients. And when you work in the public eye, you kind of sometimes put yourself potentially at risk. And, you're not like this private person that's hiding out, on a lot that no one ever sees. Like, I work in the public eye a lot. So I always, I'm a worst case scenario kind of guy. I have my hurricane supply area. But the thing for me is I want to be able to protect myself so that I don't ever have to worry. I want to be able to protect my family. And a big part of that is understanding how to protect the property that you own, the assets that you've acquired through time. And so that's when I started to look into the trusts and also the wills, just kind of see if there's a better way of securing the stuff that I've worked super hard for.
You started to realize and become aware that you needed to protect your stuff through the shots and through just being involved in the community and realizing that, hey, maybe because I'm building and because I'm out there, protecting my business and the other stuff that I own is important.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we live in a place where, unfortunately, a lot of this stuff lawsuits happen, people sue, and you want to try to protect yourself as best as you can.
What were your expectations going into the process before you started to do your estate plan as a business owner versus what was, the reality coming out of it?
So the process for me is like through the years, I started a rental company and I've acquired a couple rental properties through a company. And I wanted to find better ways to kind of protect my assets. And I actually reached out on Facebook. I was looking for a trust to be made. And you guys came into the conversation. And I said, you know what? Let me reach out to the team. Let me learn more because there's a lot of information on the internet. And the thing is being able to decipher that information and understand how it applies to your own situation. That's a whole nother thing. So being that I had a business, I didn't really understand how a trust could, own a business. And I didn't know how that worked with property. So I came here for a consultation and then we went from there.
So do you think it added a lot of clarity? Because it sounded like you did some research online.
I did so much research online. You don't even know.
Is that something you would recommend? I mean, like kind of like thinking about that process over again, like would you recommend, or do you think you can get down rabbit holes and things
you can
become pretty confusing by doing that research?
You can go down. So it seems like there's a few different options for a trust. And so it's very easy to go down a rabbit hole and then get confused and then second guess.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's best to just talk to a professional who's going to be able to give you direct answers rather than giving you a ton of various rabbit holes. So I came here, I spoke to, I think it was Jen or Jennifer.
Yeah.
And wow, she had a lot of information to give that really helped me figure out what direction I wanted to go.
if you're talking to another business owner and say they don't have anything set up, they don't have a plan, what's one piece of valuable advice that you would give to another business owner of why they need to put something together, why they need an estate plan?
Business owners and entrepreneurs, they have a lot on their plate. They work very hard for what they have. One of the biggest things about, working really hard for what you have is keeping what you have, what you've worked so hard for. So if you are a business owner or an entrepreneur, building a legacy and being able to secure that legacy for your family, whether that be investment properties or assets or your business, putting your business into a trust, I think that is such a huge deal. I think that a lot of people undervalue the importance of, creating a trust or a will. I would encourage business owners to just speak to a professional, speak to Lulich, speak to Jen, and really get an idea of, how that trust can protect you for your family and also for your legacy.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think from my perspective, one of the things that I see is people really procrastinate it because
they wait till the last minute.
They get caught up in the day-to-day, that maybe they have rental properties, maybe some type of issue or maybe some type of legal problem arises from their rental property. And
Sure.
that's when their aha moment comes into place.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I really should have had something. So let me do something now to protect myself in the event that something happens in the future. And what we want to do is we want to try to avoid that. We want to try to avoid them, having something in place. So if something does come up, they're protected and they're not retroactively planning, they're proactively planning.
Yeah, you can't procrastinate when it comes to like family planning and then also building a legacy.
Well, I appreciate you coming on and sharing your insight about, planning as a business owner. I think that was really valuable information and sharing a little bit about your video business. And if somebody listening wanted to reach out and had some questions about your video business, how can they find you?
They can find me on the website, sunrisemmp.com, Sunrise Multimedia Productions. I love Instagram, so at Matt Fulcher Films, you can check me out on there as well.
Well, thanks for coming on. I appreciate your time. Thanks for listening. I'm Jordan Lulich, and this is the Lulich Corner. We'll see you next time.